group of tired and angry workers finally decide they've had enough. They work hard every day, but they get no respect and no rights. So one day they come together and start a movement. Their plan is simple. They want to talk to the boss and demand fair treatment. But before they can reach him, their path is blocked. A full battalion of security guards stands in front of them, holding shields and batons. For a few moments, both sides just stand there, silent and tense. Then suddenly, one worker loses control and throws a rock. That single action turns everything violent. A brutal fight breaks out between the workers and the guards. The chaos only stops when the boss speaks through a megaphone. He calls out two workers and asks them to come talk to him. But there's a problem. The leader of the movement, Sancaka, is not chosen. The boss then orders everyone else to go back home. With no other choice, the workers slowly leave. That night, Sancaka returns home. His wife is waiting, along with their young son, Sancaka. The boy doesn't understand why his father keeps getting into dangerous fights. Sancaka calmly tells him that fighting injustice is everyone's responsibility. Before going to sleep, Sancaka's mother asks him to close the windows because it's raining. Even though the boy is scared of thunder and lightning, he gathers his courage and does it. 3 days pass. The two workers who went to meet the boss never come back. No news, no message. Worried and angry, Sancaka gathers the workers once again. They march together, hoping to learn the truth. But just like before, armed guards block their way. Another violent clash begins. This time, the danger doesn't come from the guards alone. In the middle of the chaos, one of Sancaka's own colleagues betrays him. He stabs Sancaka from behind, ending the life of the man who started it all. And just like that, the movement loses its leader. Not to the enemy, but to betrayal from within. Hidden nearby, Sancaka's young son, Sancaka, sees everything. Shocked and terrified, the boy runs toward his father's body. But it's already too late. Heavy rain starts pouring down as Sancaka cries over his father. Filled with anger and pain, Sancaka grabs a guard's shield and tries to fight back. He's just a child, but his rage is too strong. Suddenly, something strange happens. Electricity shoots out from his hands. The blast hits everyone around him and throws Sancaka backward. The power is huge, and even he doesn't understand what he has done. After this tragic day, 1 year passes. Sancaka and his mother struggle to survive on their own. Life is hard, and money is always short. One day, his mother gets a job offer in another city. She tells Sancaka she'll be gone for just 1 day, but 1 day turns into a week. She never comes back. Alone and confused, Sancaka is forced to take care of himself. Hunger becomes his daily enemy, and every time it rains, his greatest fear returns: lightning. Nights are long, cold, and scary. After waiting for many days, Sancaka starts to believe his mother has abandoned him. With no hope left, he leaves his home and goes to the streets, trying to survive on his own. One morning, his life takes another dark turn. A gang of street kids spots him and starts chasing him. They corner him in a narrow alley. Sancaka tries to fight back, but he's outnumbered. All 5 kids attack him at once. They beat him badly, cut his ear, and are about to hit him with wooden sticks. Just when things seem hopeless, help arrives. Another boy appears. His name is Awang. Calm and fearless, Awang steps in and fights the gang. Using fast and powerful martial arts moves, he knocks all 5 attackers down in seconds. After saving Sancaka, Awang takes him to his hideout inside an old train station. He feeds him, gives him a place to rest, and sees something special in the boy. Instead of leaving him, Awang makes a decision. He decides to teach Sancaka how to fight so he can protect himself in this cruel world. Training begins, and Sancaka surprises Awang. The boy learns fast. His moves are sharp, and his focus is strong. It's clear that fighting comes naturally to him. But one day during a break, it starts raining again. The moment Sancaka hears the rain, he panics and runs inside one of the train wagons to hide. Awang follows him and asks why he's so scared of the rain. Sancaka quietly says that it feels like the lightning is drawn to him, like it's looking for him. Later, Awang offers him a way out. He tells Sancaka to come with him on a train going southeast, where they can start a better life. Sancaka agrees. That night, the two of them run after a train that's already moving fast. Awang jumps and manages to grab a wagon. He reaches out his hand to pull Sancaka up. Sancaka runs as hard as he can, but he can't reach it in time. The train pulls away. Left behind, Sancaka watches Awang disappear into the night. As a final lesson, Awang shouts back to him, "Use what you've learned to survive, and don't trust anyone." Sancaka takes those words to heart. The next day, he goes to the port looking for work so he can earn food and survive. While standing in line, a street kid pushes him aside and takes his spot. This time, Sancaka doesn't stay quiet. He fights back with a clean spinning kick. But the trouble isn't over. The boy calls his gang, and they all start chasing Sancaka through the streets. Sancaka runs for his life. Just when it looks like he'll be caught, a car stops beside him. A kind couple inside tells him to get in. They drive him away from danger and promise to take care of him. For a moment, it feels like his life is finally changing. But then Sancaka remembers Awang's last words, "Don't trust anyone." Suddenly, the boy opens the door, jumps out of the moving car and runs back into the streets. Once again, he chooses to survive on his own. Several years pass. Sancaka is now an adult. He works as an electronics and security technician for a newspaper company. His city is full of crime, broken buildings, and violence, but Sancaka keeps his distance. He doesn't step in, he doesn't fight back. He lives alone and stays quiet, choosing isolation over trouble. At the same time, others are trying to change the city. A new politician named Durga Utama is elected. He wants to fight crime and clean up the streets. One night, he attends a dinner for lawmakers. There, he meets Penor, the man who secretly controls most of the city's crime. People say Penor's past is just as dark as Sangaji's. His father was murdered unfairly, and criminals burned down his home. Penor survived, but his face was badly burned. His uncle then sent him to an orphanage, so he would never inherit his family's wealth. Life in the orphanage was cruel. Penor and the other children were beaten and treated badly. But Penor was smart. He slowly united the orphans and started a rebellion. Together, they killed the people running the orphanage. From that moment on, Penor rose in the criminal world. He built an empire, using orphans across the country as his loyal followers. Now powerful and feared, Penor shows up at the legislators' dinner to meet the new politician. But Durga looks him in the eye and rejects him. He says he knows who Penor really is. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a very bad idea. Later that night, while returning home with his family, Durga notices someone watching him in a corridor. Instead of walking away, he decides to investigate. Suddenly, a mysterious man appears. He uses fire magic and puts Durga to sleep. Minutes later, Durga wakes up in an abandoned building. He is gagged and tied to a chair. In front of him, his wife and children are tied to a rope. Then Penor appears. He tells Durga that because of his disrespectful behavior, he will make an example out of him. Durga begs him to spare his family, but instead of listening, the crime boss sets the rope on fire. The rope burns and breaks. Durga's family falls from the building. In total despair, Durga jumps after them, trying to save them. He also falls, dying along with his loved ones. Far away, Sancaka wakes up in his bed after hearing noises from next door. Someone is trying to break into the apartment nearby. Once again, Sancaka chooses not to get involved and gets ready for another normal day at work. At the end of the day, Sancaka talks with a friend who wants to leave the city and escape all the violence. While they're talking, a man suddenly runs toward the newspaper gates, begging for help. He says a gang of hooligans wants to lynch him. Sancaka and his friend refuse to help at first. But then their colleague Awang opens the door and promises to take the man safely to the police station. Before leaving, Awang looks at Sancaka and says something important. He tells him that this city will never change if people like him keep choosing not to care about others. Those words hit Sancaka hard. The next morning, Sancaka hears noise again. The vandals are back, trying to break into the same apartment. This time, they get inside. They find a young woman named Woolan and her little brother, Teddy. The criminals threaten to kill them both. This time, Sancaka can't ignore it anymore. He steps in and attacks the men with punches and kicks. The criminals pull out knives and rush at him, but Sancaka uses his martial arts training to block their attacks. He takes down one attacker and then faces the second one. As they struggle, the first criminal gets up and tries to hit Sancaka from behind. But something unexpected happens. Woolan grabs the attacker by his shirt and slams him onto a table. Sancaka uses the moment to knock both men down and orders them to leave. Woolan and Teddy are amazed by his skills, but Sancaka leaves quickly so he doesn't draw attention. Later that night, Sancaka is back at work as a security guard. While checking the area with a flashlight, the same two criminals return, looking for revenge. This time, they bring more men with them. Sancaka fights hard and takes down many of them, but more keep coming. Outnumbered, he is forced to run. He leads them into the newspaper building and uses the tight spaces to his advantage. Still, the gang won't stop. The fight moves up to the rooftops. Punches and kicks are exchanged as Sancaka faces the entire group. Even with his skills, he is eventually knocked down. The criminals beat him badly with wooden clubs. Finally, with Sancaka unable to fight back, they throw him off the roof. No normal person could survive that fall. But then, heavy rain begins to pour. Lightning strikes again and again. Sancaka suddenly wakes up and starts absorbing the electricity into his body. The power is too much, and he loses consciousness. The next morning, Sancaka wakes up in his apartment. Soon after, someone knocks on his door. It's Wulan. Out of nowhere, she asks him to look after Teddy for a while. Meanwhile, politicians argue over Durga's death and suspect Panur is behind it. Panur himself shows up and claims he is innocent, warning everyone to be careful with their words. After he leaves, his assistant Gazul says the politicians might become a problem. Panur says his plan is already moving forward. In a rice warehouse, his men inject a strange serum into sacks. Back at home, Sancaka tells Teddy he will take him to his sister because he has to work. On the way, he meets Wulan at the market. She is gathering shopkeepers to demand more security. Sancaka asks her to take Teddy back with her. Before she can answer, the same gang that threw Sancaka off the roof appears. They are shocked to see him alive and start chasing him through the streets. Sancaka tries to escape but is surrounded and forced to fight again. Using his combat skills, he takes on several attackers at once. When the criminals throw axes at him, Sancaka suddenly blocks them with lightning coming from his arms. He even sends electric shocks at his enemies, knocking them back. He has shocked himself, but when he tries to use the power again, nothing happens. So he grabs a wooden club and finishes the fight the old way. Wulan and the merchants see everything and are amazed. But Sancaka walks away without saying a word. Later, at work, Sancaka talks to Awang about what happened. He says that for a moment, he thought he had special powers. Soon after, Wulan arrives and asks him to come back to the market. The people believe he is a hero who can protect the city. Sancaka refuses. He says he doesn't have powers, but people notice something strange. He is healed from his injuries. Still, he refuses to help. Wulan and the others leave, disappointed. That night, after work, Sancaka returns home and finds the market burned down. Shops are destroyed and many people are injured. Wulan tells him that he cannot turn away when people are suffering. She believes the vandals did this and asks Sancaka to help her fight their leader, Ganda, one of Pinor's men. Hearing this, Sancaka finally decides to act. But he still doesn't know where his powers come from or how to control them. Another night at work, Wulan and Teddy come to see him just as a strong storm begins. Thunder fills the sky. Sancaka remembers his fear of lightning and the night he absorbed it. He steps into the rain and is struck by electricity, crashing to the ground. Awang rushes to help, but the moment he touches Sancaka, lightning throws him back. That's when Sancaka understands the truth. Lightning gives him strength. Wulan tests this by hitting him with an iron bar, but Sancaka feels no pain. Fully charged with energy, Sancaka feels no pain. He joins Wulan and her companions and goes with them to a wedding party where they expect to find Ganda. As soon as Ganda sees the group, he panics and runs away. His henchmen try to protect him, but before anything else can happen, the bride suddenly appears, demanding to know what's going on. Before the situation can calm down, something strange happens. Several guests suddenly feel sick. All of them are pregnant. Soon after, reports come in from all over the city. Many pregnant women are getting sick at the exact same time. The media quickly discovers the reason. The rice has been contaminated by Pinor's men. Experts explain that a serum was injected into the rice. This serum affects unborn babies, making them unable to tell right from wrong. The plan is to create a future generation with no morals, people who will grow up to become Pinor's loyal followers. This news shocks the city. Anger spreads everywhere. Chaos breaks out in the streets. Vandals take advantage of the situation, burning shops and breaking into homes. That same night, Sancaka appears wearing a mask. He steps in to stop the troublemakers. He fights them easily, knocking them down one by one. But during the fight, one thug attacks him with a knife that has a small container on it. The man collects some of Sancaka's blood and escapes. After the fight, Sancaka returns to his workplace where Wulan helps treat his wounds. Another storm begins outside. Sancaka uses the rain and lightning to recharge his power. But when he sees what happens to Awang, he realizes something dangerous. When he's fully charged, he could hurt his friends by accident. So Sancaka makes a choice. With the help of Wulan, Awang, and Teddy, he gathers materials from the newspaper building and builds a protective suit. He even adds metal antennas to his mask so he can absorb lightning more safely. Now fully prepared, the masked vigilante goes back into the streets to fight crime. His actions quickly make the news. Soon, the House of Peace takes notice. A secret group made up of politicians and journalists. One of them, Orphan, suggests they investigate the immoral serum and also find out who the masked hero really is. After another long night of fighting, Sancaka wakes up on a sofa and sees Woolen making breakfast. Little by little, she seems to be growing closer to him. After finishing the food, she steps outside, but suddenly a group of troublemakers approaches her. Sancaka rushes to protect her, but the men say they didn't come to fight. They claim they were not the ones who burned down the market. Instead, they say it was Al Solon, a famous violinist. They say they saw him at the market on the same night of the fire. Hearing this, Sancaka goes to the theater where the violinist is performing that evening. After the show, the musician leaves through the back door, and that's when the masked hero confronts him. Sancaka demands to know why he burned down the market. In response, the violinist pulls out a hidden blade from inside his violin case and attacks. Thanks to his superhuman strength, Sancaka isn't hurt. A fierce fight breaks out. Using his skill, Sancaka slowly gains the upper hand. During the struggle, he notices a strange mark on the man's chest. Realizing he can't win, the violinist runs away down the street, but he doesn't see a car coming. In seconds, he is hit and killed. The next day, Penor learns about the violinist's death. The man was part of the League, a group made up of Penor's most loyal orphans. Furious, Penor plans revenge, not just against the masked hero, but against everyone in the House of Peace. To do this, he summons the remaining 9 members of the League: the dancer, the hypnotist, the nurse, the blacksmith, the painter, the student, the chef, the model, and the sculptor. One by one, they begin hunting down and killing the politicians and journalists linked to the secret group. One of them, the dancer, who wears a mask on the back of his head, attacks Orphan while he is in his car. Despite the efforts of Orphan's guards, they are all killed. Trapped inside his vehicle, the politician locks himself in, hoping to survive. The dancer slowly moves toward him, but suddenly Sancaka appears, fully suited up and ready. He challenges the dancer to a direct fight. The hero's fighting skill surprises his enemy so much that during the fight, the dancer's mask is torn off. In the end, Sancaka throws him away. Realizing the hero is far stronger than expected, the orphan escapes. After the fight, Sancaka checks the fallen mask and notices a symbol on it. It's the same mark the violinist had tattooed on his chest. It represents Penor's League. Orphan thanks the masked hero, who quickly leaves the scene. Inspired by what he saw, Orphan pushes for a vote to produce antidotes against the immorality serum. The vote passes, and the antidote begins to be produced and sent to the people. But there's a problem. The company making the antidote is actually owned by Penor. Instead of a cure, they plan to use a substance that will make the serum even stronger. Luckily, Orphan had asked a private lab to test the antidote just in case. When the truth is revealed, he quickly sends his assistant to warn the vaccination centers and also asks him to find out who the masked hero really is. Soon, Sancaka's real identity is discovered. Orphan calls Sancaka at his workplace and warns him about Penor's plan. Sancaka decides to stop him, but Penor moves first. He shows up at the newspaper building with his League of Orphans, all dressed for battle. Sancaka challenges them. He first fights the model and the chef at the same time. Even without his powers fully charged, he manages to knock the model into a hole. But then the sculptor appears with his hammer and tools, joined by the painter, who uses his fists like weapons. These two are much harder to fight. Things get worse when the student joins in, using her backpack as a weapon, along with the blacksmith, who attacks with 2 long swords. Trying to keep his distance, Sancaka is suddenly surrounded again, first by the dancer, and then by the nurse, armed with daggers. Outnumbered and exhausted, Sancaka can barely stay on his feet. Then he sees Woolen, Teddy, and Awang being taken to the roof by Penor and his men. Sancaka rushes after them. On the roof, he finds his friends held hostage, along with the hypnotherapist.
Sancaka begs Penor to spare them, but without hesitation, the chef stabs Awang in the back, killing him. With his last breath, Awang tells Sancaka that his strength was always inside him, and that he must release it completely. Those words ignite something inside Sancaka. Using his own body, he draws electricity from the sky, becoming more powerful than ever. He calls all the orphans to face him at once. One by one, he defeats them with ease. When it's the hypnotherapist's turn, he uses his power to put Sancaka to sleep. In his dream, Sancaka sees himself as a child again, sitting with his parents. They promise they'll never leave him, but Sancaka realizes it's not real. He breaks free and wakes up just in time to block the blacksmith's attack. He grabs one of the swords and summons lightning. The blade shatters, and a wave of energy destroys both the blacksmith and the hypnotherapist. With almost all his allies defeated, Penor tries to stab Sancaka from behind, but Erwin appears and shoots Penor. As he dies, Penor orders the painter to flee and says his plan with the serum will still succeed. Sancaka says he will stop it. He jumps on his motorcycle and chases the car carrying the antidote. He manages to stop it, but the driver shoots him, knocking him off the bike. Just then, a mysterious heroine appears. Using her scarf, she flips the car on the highway. Sancaka gets back up and releases a massive bolt of lightning, destroying the antidote, both in the car and at the vaccination center. The city is saved, but 3 women had already been injected. Their babies will be born according to Penor's plan. Far away, inside a museum, Ganda stands with Gazul. Gazul reveals a hidden plan. Behind a wall lies the body of Ki Willowalk, an ancient warrior. They break through the wall and find the body without its head, but Gazul has the missing head. Using Sancaka's blood, taken earlier, they bring the warrior back to life. Ki Willowalk asks why he has been revived. Gazul says his old enemy has returned, the Warrior of Thunder. That legendary hero is none other than Sancaka. This explains his power over lightning. Ki Willowalk orders Gazul to gather an army. A war from the past is about to begin again. Days later, Sancaka stands on the rooftops, now wearing an upgraded suit made with Erwin's help. He promises to protect his city from crime, unaware that his greatest enemy is coming. Watching from afar is the mysterious heroine. Her real name is Sri Asi. She knows that very soon she will have to join forces with Sancaka to face the powerful enemy ahead. So what did you think of this movie? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the recap, like and subscribe for more. See you next time.